The Spirit of Aloha Temple from the North Shore of Maui.
Aloha. My name is Swami Swarupananda, Frederick Swarup Honig. I am sharing from the Spirit of Aloha Temple on the North Shore of Maui. And I am grateful for the opportunity of sharing with you a vision for how planet Earth could feel like heaven on earth. I believe that the unit of consciousness, who is ultimately our deepest reality, has as its goal to create heaven on earth and to have earth express the love and glory of the unit of consciousness itself in its full manifestation. And I believe that we're really not as far away from it as we think, but if we go in the wrong direction, we could really be in a big trouble for a long time. And I think it's a pivotal moment in human history. And I'd like to offer in a nutshell what I believe the transformations that humanity has to grow through in order to achieve the greatest glory for ourselves and for future generations and for the well-being of all nature. So here it is in a nutshell. I believe that really the essence of the unit of consciousness is love, service, devotion. It is the spirit of aloha manifesting in nature. And I believe that each human being has within themselves a conscience, which is their connection to the unit of consciousness is the conscience. And that if one can make friends with your conscience and follow its advice, you will find that unit of consciousness can come through us and we can flower. And that state is the great blessing of life. The great blessing of life in the way that any one human can have heaven on earth here and now is by tuning into the conscience and following its direction of how to flow through planet Earth. The essence of the conscience is the desire to do no harm to anyone and the desire to do as much good as possible for nature and manifestation as you're able to do without causing anybody else harm. If we are in an opportunity where we have the opportunity of serving humanity without causing harm to anyone, it's our duty to do that. And I believe it's my duty to share the wisdom that I download from unit of consciousness in my meditations. I have the great blessing of living in this beautiful sanctuary, and I have the great blessing of having studied meditation for 50 years, and I have the great blessing of being able to keep my mind still and to hear the nada. And I download what I believe God, the unit of consciousness, wants me to share with planet Earth. And this is my humble attempt to do so. And I hope that you find it inspiring. Okay, I invoked here and now a few of my great benefactors. I invoked my Guru Swami Sachidananda and his Guru Swami Shivananda, and all the wisdom of the great masters on planet Earth and the spiritual realm, and my Auntie Pua, my Hawaiian guru, and inspirations that I've had, Swami Vivekananda, Swami Sarvapriyananda, and many great other yogis, to be with me and to help the unit of consciousness function through Swarup, to give the best download possible that I can offer in this opportunity. So here we go. I believe that really what humanity has to do first and foremost is to go vegan. We, the human family, were created by the Lord of the universe to bless the planet and all the animals, to help them get through things. We have hands, and it's with these hands we can do a lot of good for planet Earth, but we can also do a lot of not good. And it's important that humanity hold on to its conscience and to the conscience to live a righteous life on planet Earth and to use our life energy for doing good for the planet. There's a big big test that humanity gets, and that is there's a tendency of the human being having been given free will to make a choice. And the choice is between, are you going to do what will bring pleasure or what will bring joy? And there's a big difference, because the path of pleasure can ultimately lead to pain, but the path of joy stays with joy. And I'll say about that, it's the mind is a tricky fellow, and it can lead us down the wrong path. It's easy to get deceived, the mind. The mind will think what it thinks is good for it to think, and it'll be blind to things that are even obvious and true if it doesn't want to think that way. So you can't completely let the mind rule your being. You have to understand like a little bit different levels of consciousness. And the one level of consciousness there is the witness. That's who we ultimately are, the conscious awareness. And we are eternal. Good news, guys. If you're aware now, you've always had awareness, you always will have awareness, because awareness is fundamental. Energy and matter are not fundamental. What's fundamental is consciousness. And, if you really think about it, there's no way that you could ever know if the planet really exists outside of consciousness, because all you really are aware of is consciousness. So nobody really knows if the whole world exists, but it's better to think that it does. And it's better to think of the whole world as God itself and not anything separate. The one unit of consciousness, who we are, us. We create the body, the mind, the universe, and we enjoy this universal play. Like, this is the play that we made for fun, but we made this play also to just ultimately get into heaven. Like, we didn't want to have total torment forever. And planet Earth right now could be heaven. Like right here and now, in our very generation, in this very generation, in this very century, humanity could live in a way that it would be total heaven. And I'll tell you how it could be like that. Here's how humanity could make a few shifts to make it so that there'd be heaven on planet Earth. Here you go. The first thing is people can stop eating animals and instead eat plants. And treat animals like God. Like everywhere you look on the planet, everything you see, don't think of it as anything other than God itself. It's all God manifesting as everything you see. There's nothing but God. So treat everything with total devotion and reverence, everything. And including animals. So imagine that if people weren't eating animals, all the plains in Africa, the elephants would be, way back. There'd be herds and herds of elephants. There'd be herds of lions and tigers. And, the whole planet would be filled with animals again. And the whole ocean today, there's only 10% of the biomass that was there from 100 years ago. 100 years ago, within the last 100 years, 90% of the biomass of the ocean has been eliminated. And if people don't stop fishing, they are going to eliminate the last 10%, and the oceans won't even be able to proliferate again. So it's a critical moment for humanity to wake up, guys, and let the fish have their space, let them regrow in the ocean, let the animals have space, let them regrow, let humanity become plant-based, and then you'll be healthy. Like all of these health problems are all caused by people who aren't eating vegan nutrition. If you eat vegan nutrition with a few little things, like you have to take vitamin B12, vitamin D, maybe a couple of supplements, you can be super healthy. So nature will bless you if you take care of it. All these fruit trees that I have, when I get a breadfruit tree, they're made for my soul, and it warms my soul, not just my body. That's how, sweet the relationship can be between you and your fruit tree. So planet Earth, amen, go vegan. That's number one. Okay. Number two, I believe we should do is we should end the institution of war. Like, the institution of war is so barbaric, and if we, our generation, doesn't end it within our generation, we could be the last generation on planet Earth, because we are so good at blowing each other up that we could blow up this planet a dozen times, maybe 100 times, and wipe off all the life off of this planet. Humanity could do that. And there are a lot of crazy people, and it's hard to really control the government. I'll just say that. Governments can become corrupted. If you look at the United States government, it might be one of the better things around, but it's got tons of trouble. And I think that it's important for humanity to have its own news station. And this is what I think is important. You can't really trust the news totally in any way. Like the news itself, you have to be very skeptical about what's really happening on the news. There's a big spin right now that Israel somehow is doing something that's not Pono with the Palestinians. But I'll tell you the honest truth about that every country has a right to defend itself, and war is messy. The Israelis have done and are doing everything they could possibly do to get those Gazan people to go south and get out of the area of Gaza City. They distributed leaflets, that they send everywhere. They call everybody, tell them, hey, get out of this area. But it's the Hamas people who are keeping those Gazan citizens and also keeping all their film people going. So if there's a problem somewhere, they can try to put a spin on that Israel is being a creep here. But it's not the fact. Like, Israel is conducting a war as honorably as possibly can be done, considering it's a war, and you have to get rid of that Hamas that's shot 6,000 missiles into Israel since October and created that horrible problem. There's nothing you could do. So what I'm saying to planet Earth is, these liberal kids, so-called liberal kids who are on the college campus, who are touting for the Palestinian cause, they're all deluded. It's like a deep, deep delusion. It's the same delusion that came over the Hitler Youth kids in Germany. They're the new deluded Nazi babies, the baby Nazis, the ones who are on the Palestinian side. That's what it is. It's a deep, deep delusion. It's standing up for evil instead of good. It's for everything that the United States is against is what these Palestinians are pushing for. They're like the Hamas and the West Bank are not anything to do with land. It's only the goal of those organizations is the destruction of Israel and the elimination of the Jewish people from planet Earth. That's their goal. And if planet Earth doesn't stand up from that, that evil will be another Third Reich to plague the world the same way Hitler did. It's the next Hitler arriving. And every decent person on planet Earth who has a conscience, who knows about God, and who's here to love and serve and have their life be a lasting good, so that after their life there was some good left on planet Earth that they did for generations to come. That's the goal of every human being. Push the civilization in the right direction. The Jews have the right direction. Their direction is love and service and devotion to God, the unit of consciousness, and also a deep understanding of physics and nature and being skillful on planet Earth, being brilliant in your service. And that's what they're about. And what they're doing, like right now, Israel has just had the smallest little sliver of land. It's no bigger than New Jersey. The Arab countries have 1/3 of the mass of the world. They're 21 powerful, rich countries filled with oil. They don't know where to spend their money next. They could easily assimilate the so-called Palestinians, which are nothing other than their own people, into their land. The Jews have been pushed around for millennia. the Babylonians came in there, exiled 1 million people. The Romans came, they killed about 500,000, and they took the other 500,000 to be slaves and pushed them out. The Iberian Peninsula, Spain and Portugal, kicked out all the Jews. They had to go leave. The Jews were murdered, 6 million of them in the Holocaust. They've had to fight for their little country, no bigger than New Jersey, for 75 years. It's time for the world to give Israel its borders back and let there be peace on planet Earth. And this is the test of every human being alive today. If you side with Israel and the side of justice and goodness, you will be blessed for generations to come. And if you side with the Palestinians and the side of evil, you will be cursed, and you will pay a price for that, because there's such a thing as karma. Each person has to understand the truth of this universe. The truth of this universe is that whatever we do comes back to us. There is no reason why the Jewish people shouldn't have their own country to live in peace. They need to have that. That needs to be given back to the Jewish people. The Jewish people need to have their country. And until that can happen, until the Jewish people can have that little New Jersey-sized country back all for them, without having two enemies whose sworn goal of their life is to kill that country right next to them, that cannot persist. And it's not Israel's... Israel is being righteous in removing that that poison from its country, and for allowing itself to fulfill its potential of being a great light to the planet, helping in 101 ways. You know, they've come up with the most amazing ways to desalinate water and to create an orchard out of a desert. You know, they have done their miracle in that promised land, and the miracle is just starting. The glory that they could offer the world is not ending here. It's going on. The next Jesuses are on their way, and a lot of great blessings are and will continue to be offered. So I call on you, humanity, if you want to have heaven on planet Earth. It's an easy little switch. It takes nothing. It doesn't take another world war. You just tell the Arab world, hey man, let your brothers and sisters come into your space. There's about 2 million of them that need to come into your space. You have 21 countries. Each of you take a few 100,000 people, and everybody will be fine. Make a peace accord with Israel, and the war's over, problem over. Let there be peace on the planet. It's a simple thing to happen. The kids demonstrating in the colleges should be talking about this, how to do this. Let Israel have its little country back. And also those kids are saying that the Palestinians are indigenous and that the Jews are colonialists, but there's 5,000, the archaeologists will show that the Israel culture goes back 5,000 years in that area. Like all of the artifacts you find, the Dead Sea Scrolls and all these artifacts, the coins, everything, they're all Jewish Semitic coins. The histories of all the different cultures agree. Israel has the right to that land. In fact, it has a right to a lot more of its land than that little bit of land, because historically Israel was much bigger in the time of King David and the time of Abraham and the time of Jesus. The borderline of Israel is much bigger. Almost everything that you say is Jordan was part of Israel originally. So Israel should at least get its little minor borders back, so there can be peace on the planet. And if the Arab world doesn't have the respect for Judaism to give Israel its full borders back and to let it grow in peace, it'll have nothing but suffering until it does. And the Christian world, I believe, has been the evangelists, I think, are the most supportive people of Israel, and I bless them for being that. And God will bless them for being that too. But I listen to the evangelists. The evangelists understand the benefit of the Jews having their country and of the blessing of that culture. So that's really what world has to do here and now. And it's a big thing. And if the world doesn't do that, you know how much the world suffered in World War II. It could suffer another World War III like that. So it's a simple It's a simple solution. Tell the Arab people, let your people in. When the Ukrainians had to flee the Russian aggression, 6 to 8 million of them fled into Europe. Europe let them in, even though they speak a different language. The Arabs all speak the same language. They're all one culture. They're one family, and they can open their doors, and they're allowing every single person who's dying in the streets in Gaza today, God, the unit of consciousness, truth, your conscience. If you look at truth, the blame is for the Arab world only. The Arab world fostered this ability for Hamas to perpetrate this horrible atrocity on October 7th of 2023 in Israel, and left the Jews no a possible option other than what they're doing now to rid themselves of Hamas. And then the Hamas leaders were not allowing the Hamas people to escape. Egypt could open its door. Egypt could let those Gazan people into there, and from there they could send them to wherever they're going to go to around Egypt. It's simple. There's nothing complex about it. So there's the solution. So I think that there's a lot of other issues that I have that I think are very key to doing it on planet Earth. I'll just say one in a nutshell, and because I don't want these videos to be too long. I know everyone has their other things they have to deal with. I think humanity has to create a way to have a reliable news system. And I think that the way it should do it is it should create 3 independent news agencies that all have to agree. If they're they have to be fact-checked, and they can't be putting a spin on things. They have to give realistic versions of reality that are not owned by anybody. Like these 3 agencies, they can't be part of any business, or they can't have any political ties. They have to be 3 neutral agencies. And then if there's a dispute between mostly they'll all agree. But if there's a dispute, then at least people know that at least 2/3 of them are thinking one way, and it gives you a way to judge the validity of any spin. Because what's happening right now, I think, is that a big risk to humanity, particularly to the Americans, is TikTok. Because TikTok, I believe, is completely run by the Chinese Communist Party runs TikTok. They have an agenda. Their agenda is authoritarianism. They want to get with Russia, with Iran. They like these authoritarian regimes because that's what they're like. They're like a buddy of like those Mussolini and Hitler. They liked each other. Franco, those fascists. The fascists like other fascists. They like fascist regimes. So if you want to have like a democracy, you have to know what's going on. And it's easy to delude the large planet, a large part of human society with these TikTok. And I think that all the social networks should be owned by the people in their country and not by adversaries to their country. Because their adversaries, like those Chinese, they don't like the Jews. And I'll tell you the main reason is that the Chinese want their people to worship them. They want the Chinese Communist Party to be the God who they worship. And they don't want spirituality. They don't want the fallen gone, those yogi type people in there. They don't want Christians in there. They don't even want Muslims. They don't want Muslims to teach Islam, and they don't want Tibetans to be practicing their religion. They want an atheistic religion, and the Jews are the last thing that the Jews are ever going to do is become atheistic. That's not in the Jewish chromosome. Jews love God, and they spend a lot of their time figuring out how to develop that relationship. So TikTok, the Communist Party, can manipulate the spin on that to make things so that the Arabs look better in the eyes of those gullible college kids. Man, those college kids better wake up, but the gullible college kids who are being deluded. I would imagine how fun it must have been for those Hitler Youth kids in the early in the late 39, 1939, to be in those parades and everything and thinking they're the most patriotic kids on the planet. You can see how delusions spin. It's happened before. You can see how it's happening again. So if we could make a news station and that you get the real news, and you could have a lot of fact checks, and it's really based on science and not on spin, that would help humanity a lot. And the same way, if you could make a way that voting could be clarified, that the elections are really true and not, spun in every country, and then that really that would give democracy a way of actually surviving. Those two things: a real news station, because people in a democracy got to know what's going on, and a real voting station, because your vote's got to count. And if you could do that, you could probably save democracy. Otherwise, democracy looks like it could be taken over by the fascists. Germany was a democracy, and it got taken over by fascists too. So that's because they were able to control the media. And our media is only owned by a few companies, man. It's easy for our media to be taken over. That's why we need the humanities news station, run by humanity. We need a humanity union that can get the truth out to the world. Okay, and I'd like to be that here. I'm going to be that. What I'm doing right now is just sharing my version of reality with you. And if it's inspiring to you, I hope you'll tune in and help me get my message out, by sharing it with other people who you think it's useful with. So blessings to you, beloved family, and looking forward to our next sharing. Om Shanti.